Okay, this is UAP, and everybody's talking about the deep state and the deep state involvement with disclosure. People think it's conservative or liberal or it's not political, in my opinion. I'm going to give a thought exercise here on an operational definition of the deep state and how it came to be. So, deep state, never really explained, often cited. Again, in my opinion, a separate entity, not conservative, not liberal, not Democrat, not Republican, everything else. Okay? Now, here's the thing. I think there's a bunch of different components here that make up the deep state. At the top is MJ-12. And I think MJ-12 is the superordinate intelligence agency for the Western world. It's on top of the military-industrial complex, okay? And these are, you can see the other UAP videos on this, the think tanks and contractors who are working along with the military to reverse engineer and develop UAP-based technology. And the fourth component here is the result of that reverse engineering, which is the secret space program. And we've seen videos regarding 20 and-back soldiers who have gone Earth Warden. There are a number of different takes on this, and you can, let's just move forward. So, we're going to start, everything starts with the deep state, with UFO recoveries and sightings. There have been many, and they go back, but let's just start with Italy, pre-World War II. A crashed a UFO recovery, which was turned over to Germany, which ultimately ended up in U.S. hands after the war. Sometime before Roswell, we had a event in Missouri, and this was a recovery of a crash with beings and so forth. And we have Roswell. Okay, and we're all aware of Roswell, the White Sands area recovery with beings, and there was a sister recovery in New Mexico regarding this as well. Then we have Kenneth Arnold up in Washington State with his sightings. One of the first nationally publicized sightings. A group of they were shaped like the heel of a shoe, he said, going 1,300 miles an hour across some mountain ranges up in the Pacific Northwest. And then we have Germany in World War II. Okay, these are all the start of the deep state. Okay, and it starts with the alien contact through these crash recoveries. And again, Italy was the first recognized UAP recovery to Germany, ultimately to the USA. And during World War II, we have the Foo Fighters. FDR and Churchill both have correspondence regarding UAPs. It was during this period that the USA took over the whole UAP topic for the West, and all the materials were forwarded to the USA. Now, during World War II was big for the deep state and the UAP recovery business, and also the interface with extraterrestrial, interdimensional however you want to define the alien presence. During World War II, if you look at the work of William Tompkins, he alleges that there were a secret UAP program, and there's a lot of documentation on this. And that they had Hannibal and so forth, Hannibal 1, 2, 3, that these were craft that were given to them or developed from technology that was forwarded to them by the Draco or Aryan alien alliance or collusion. And this has to do with Maria Orsic and all of the channeling and Illuminati and Freemasonry that we're not going to get into right here. But, William Tompkins and all of this activity that was taking place, this was the start of the Deep State as well. And after the war, the top German scientists involved in these programs made it to Argentina and some say Antarctica with Draco UAPs. Okay? And again, a lot of documentation on this. In America, NASA captures the rest of these. Actually, they were split between Russia and the United States with Project Paperclip, with the United States getting the lion's share of the German technocrats, von Braun and so forth, and they've all said, we've had help from other beings and so forth. So the whole Tompkins World War II paperclip paradigm is, also the roots of the Deep State. Now, in Missouri, there was it's considered to be one of the first USA domestic UAP recoveries. And the reason I mention this is it was pre-Roswell, and it was Truman was a political official in Missouri at the time. And I do believe his experience that Truman gained during this UAP recovery was the reason he was chosen by FDR as a vice president, and perhaps by the Deep State, the fledgling Deep State, as a vice president to take over for FDR after his leaving office. So what happened, of course, was that Truman won World War II for the Allies, the atom bomb drops and so forth. Afterwards, now again, keep in mind this domestic UAP recovery in Missouri under Truman. This is the real beginning of the Deep State. MJ-12 was formed under Truman and Forstall, and Forstall, who was a bon vent, he was a real Elon Musk of his day. Under the orders of Truman, Forstall set up MJ-12. And this was after Roswell. They knew they had something, and this was Cold War. This is post-World War II. Extreme secrecy. MJ-12 was set up. It's also, in my opinion, a response to the German breakaway. Many Germans, some say Hitler, himself broke away, and this again, there's a great deal of documentation about this. Perron and his security team were ex-SS and so forth. I do believe that the MJ-12 was set up also in response to the German breakaway in South America and Antarctica as well. And remember that this German breakaway at this time also had involved UAPs, the German Hanabu. And these were the wonder weapons. And by the way, Tompkins says that we won the World War II by hours because they were that close to actually deploying in great numbers these UAPs. And I think, the British and bombs away LeMay also crushed the military-industrial complex in Germany. But anyway, so I think MJ-12 is also a response to the German breakaway and the Roswell crash. Now, under Truman and Forrestal, the creation of MJ-12, which is secret, and again, there's a lot of FOIA information on this. A little doubt that MJ-12 existed, probably exists under a different name. Admiral Byrd's nephew said there is a well-known office for MJ-12 in the Pentagon, so forth. But this was probably the biggest thing, since the creation of the United States. It rearranged the military, all of the intelligence, the think tanks. It set up secrecy policy. It set up the Cold War strategy. This was a transformational event for the United States, and it really changed everything. And also took the UAP issue dark. And again, I think the German breakaway in South America, Antarctica, was also part of this going dark. So, MJ-12 moves all Western UAP research from foreign allies and government agencies to private industry and think tanks outside of government control in the USA. This is what MJ-12 did. This privatizing of UAP / alien interface / crafts technology, this is the military-industrial complex that Eisenhower spoke of, and the one that JFK reiterated in his speech against secret societies. The secret society he was talking about was the MJ-12. And the military-industrial complex Eisenhower spoke of, one of the main issues, according to Corso, was the privatization of the UAP reverse engineering program into the newly formed Area 51, which Eisenhower was denied access to. And it was the military-industrial complex that denied Eisenhower access. Anyway, this is the deep state. It's beyond the control of the elected government. Now, if we back up just a little bit, the theory is at this point in time, Eisenhower, towards the middle or end of his presidency, meets with the Gray Nebu, Gray aliens, and makes an agreement for technology in exchange for abduction rights for research purposes, and ultimately a secret base, which is Area 51, for the aliens to operate out of. This is what the lore is, hidden from U.S. regular government. Okay? So, I think we can say that Eisenhower knew they were going to have a base. He was not given the details of where it was or what there would be involved. This is the move towards secrecy, and this may be the influence of the Nebu on the humans, hidden from the regular U.S. government, including Eisenhower and Kennedy and the rest of the world. This takes everything black. And I think that's the way that these alien entities want it as well. They want to operate in the shadows. They don't want to be known. And just as an aside, I think they don't want to be known because they don't want the humans to be unified in a unified force against their activities, because they simply do not have the numbers to compete with the unified Earth population. That's my opinion. So Eisenhower and Kennedy and the rest of the elected officials, except for some with deep contacts to these aerospace contractors and so forth, they were all kept out of the loop. MJ-12 from this point on becomes the top of everything for the USA and the Western allies. So MJ-12 is the superordinate intelligence group. It controls everything. It orders the rest of the three-letter agencies. This MJ-12, without oversight or controls, manages the UAP issue. And there is no oversight over MJ-12. It is dark. Even the President of the United States has nothing to say about the activities. It does not report. It does not reveal budgets. I think initially the plans may have been for a reporting system. I think that the alien influence took it darker and darker. And the alien influence, I think, was a great part of the development of the deep state, in my opinion. Or if we're doing this thought exercise, if it does exist, I think it does exist. Now, after MJ-12 and these agreements take place and so forth, the military-industrial complex reverse engineering actually moves rapidly. And William Tompkins, if you've seen him talking about his work at think tanks and McDonnell Douglas and Lockheed and the development of giant space carriers and space freighters and working with Nordic aliens, this is the deep state at work, implemented through the military-industrial complex. This is the deep state, and all of this, a secret space program is developed, and NASA is a front organization for public consumption and to be controlled by the President of the United States and elected officials. The secret space program reports to no one but MJ-12, and perhaps through three-letter agencies, but MJ-12 is ultimately in control. So this is the muscle behind the deep state, okay? And this is how everything came to be. And as far as the structure, I believe, or according to this thought exercise anyway, this is the deep state. Again, not Republican, not Democrat. This is a group of its own. It is military oriented. It is military industrial weapons oriented. So there is a military orientation to it. And in that end, you could say it's conservative, but actually, as I said, it's not conservative or liberal. I think they see themselves as pragmatic in dealing with this issue. So we have William Tompkins documenting the rapid development of the deep state. And again, no one is overseeing this work. In my opinion, Lieutenant Corso, from the day after Roswell, exposes this to JFK shortly before he was eliminated by MJ-12. And this, I believe you can see my video on this. I do believe Corso and Kennedy went to Area 51 in an unpublicized visit not long before his assassination, and you can see my video on this. It, to my mind, is very easily documented, and this opened Kennedy's eyes. Kennedy planned to share all UAP information with Russia and, again, unite the planet against the UAP threat. And this threat, and Kennedy was aware of this, there is the assessment, which was the NATO report, and you can look that up on YouTube. There was a overflight of a group of UFOs over East Europe into the West, and this very nearly caused the launch of nuclear missiles. And this is something that Kennedy was aware of, and Kennedy did not want to blow up the world because these UAPs were flying all over the place. And again, he wanted to unite everyone, and again, this is documented. This was going down just before he was assassinated, as far as him sharing information with Russia. The powers that be, James LeMay, Bombs Away LeMay, and other military actors at the time were upset with Kennedy over the Cuban Missile Crisis. We had a 10-to-1 superiority over Russia and China with nuclear weapons. They felt that Kennedy had given that away. In a way, Kennedy did. Kennedy was a peace warrior. He did not want to go. And after losing what they felt was an opportunity to use that 10-to-1, and I do believe LeMay was, part of MJ-12 and the Deep State, they did not want to lose the edge they had gained from reverse engineering UAP technology, because if we were 10-to-1 over the Russians with ICBMs at that time, certainly we were 10-to-1 over the Russians with reverse engineered UAP technology at that time. So this is all very closely tied to the Kennedy assassination and the Cold War. Also, I would add the Nixon impeachment is part of this as well. So after this, MJ-12 goes even more black, okay? And the secret space fleet really develops. And you can see Gary McKenna, I believe I misspelled this. He was an autistic English guy who hacked the Pentagon on this for all kind of information on the extraterrestrial fleet the United States was operating. Two of the ship manifests he found were, one was the Curtis LeMay, Bombs Away LeMay, and the USS Hillenkotter. Hillenkotter was one of the first heads of the CIA. Both of these were MJ-12 members at some point. So this Dark Fleet, the secret space program, again, according to, and I believe I misspelled his name there, this English guy, McKenna. What's he find? He finds 2 ships, and they name every ship. The Curtis LeMay and the USS Hillenkotter, both MJ-12 members. So the secret space program is an MJ-12 program. Now, just moving forward, this thought exercise on the secret space program, it is likely that this has generated tons of money from trade and perhaps asteroid mining and who knows what else. Exchanges on with other extraterrestrial races on technology and so forth. And this has brought millions of dollars, or at least millions of dollars of value, to these parties involved in this deep space program. So that has never been accounted for, likely trillions of dollars. And also the development of this deep space program has cost the taxpayers, I have millions, trillions of dollars. And both this income and these expenses are totally unaccounted for under MJ-12. And you can just see the Pentagon budget. They just did another. They have lost $5 trillion the day before 9/11. What's his name did a presentation saying that they were missing trillions of dollars out of the defense budget, and they still do. And they, for some reason, no one's really investigating this, but where this money has gone, in my opinion, and this is the unaccounted for, there's also accounted for money that's going to the secret space program. I believe, the $500 toilet seats in the bombers, the $1,200 hammer and screwdriver, the line items that are billed for by defense contractors. I think this is just hiding in plain sight more funding for this secret space program. Now I have this misspelled here, but a large now why are we keeping this secret? Why is the secret space program secret? Why why is MJ-12? Well, obviously they're saying we don't want our enemies to have this. Although I say there is a German space fleet out there, and that other nations are cooperating at some level with this secret space program. But what seems to be the case is, and I have cries against humanity, it should be crimes against humanity have been committed for expediency by the secret space program and MJ-12. And this includes trafficking of humans, human slavery, human abductions, human experimentation, all of these things that would be considered crimes against humanity have taken place as parts of agreements with the Nebu Greys and so forth. And some say that these are ongoing things that are happening. If you look at the 20 and back guys that say they've gone on these missions and been regressed back to their former state, no one is paid. It is a type of slavery, but they're talking of real slavery, and also the use of humans for food sources, shockingly, is another topic that comes up. So the MJ-12 and the Deep State don't want this exposed because they don't want anybody seeing how the sausage was made, and they don't want anybody to see the sausage either. And I would add that the alien races we're working with, the Nebu, for example, don't want things exposed either. they also want to, as I said, work in the shadows because they don't want to face a united Earth population, and they want to keep doing this with minimal amount of interference. Now, it's been through the abduction lore and other things. It said that Greys, and Anibu, I think specifically, can mind control humans at a close proximity. And the point here is, this is how they get compliance during abductions and so forth. Now, some humans can resist this to an extent, but in this case, they say the aliens will influence those around them to get the person they, in other words, they want person X to make a decision a certain way. If they can't influence that person, they will do his cadre of advisors and influence all of them to influence person X. And they, again, want to keep this secret. And everyone thinks disclosure is up to the deep state or the federal government or whatever. It's really up to these Greys, and they don't want it, okay? And I think this is one of the reasons we keep having things like the New Arrow report. This keeps it all secret. Possibly forever. This alien influence over human behavior. So there's a lot more to this, but just to give you a brief history of a thought exercise into, what the deep state really is and what a role that UAPs and alien interaction has played in the human history since before World War II, certainly. And the influence that possibly alien races are having on our leaders even at this time, or the advisors around our leaders at this time, and why disclosure is so difficult. But it is a hidden power. It's a hidden factor in all the decisions that are made and military actions and so forth, I believe. Or I would surmise from this information. Again, this is based on my research, and you can choose to believe it or not. It is a very interesting story. There are a lot of secret documents that have been released, some by accident. And if you connect all the dots, you come up with something like this. This is pretty close, and it's sounding way out there. And, the odd thing is all the things that sound way out there, they eventually become normal. Now, I just wanted to mention this final note. I had information on this, and all the links have been terminated that I saved, and but perhaps someone in the comments can mention this, but I just wanted to bring this up, and this should be the topic of JFK researchers, and this should be the topic of UAP researchers. Now, Kenneth Arnold, who in the Pacific Northwest was flying his plane, saw a formation of, was it 5 or 6 UFOs traveling at thousands of miles an hour, and he documented it, and this was widely publicized across the country. And sometime after this, we had a similar flight over Washington, D.C., over the White House 2 nights in a row of similar type vehicles. And this was in 1947, the same year as Roswell. And by the way, I do believe these were breakaway German Hanabu or Earth-based UAPs developed from alien technology and so forth. that Arnold saw and that also flew over Washington, D.C. In any case, you can look into Kenneth Arnold on your own. It's a very fascinating story. This is the factoid I want you to concentrate on. His very first contact after this event, this news, he reported it to, I believe, the sheriff or the air patrol or whatever, and it went on the news wire, and eventually the FBI came to see Arnold, and representatives of three-letter agencies came to see Arnold, but the very first people, according to his sister, and again, this is research I dug up that I cannot find now, that seems to have been scrubbed. I'm sure I'm correct on this, or very close to being positive about this. The very first contact of Kenneth Arnold after this event, before anyone else showed up, was by David Ferrie and Clay Shaw. And these were the same people from New Orleans. David Ferrie was a pilot. Clay Shaw was an intelligence operative. Well, they both were intelligence operatives. These were the same people who figure so prominently in the JFK murder. And this is 47. So this is a little known fact. And it just shows you, the deep state was operating then and continued to operate. And I think it ties them to the Kennedy assassination. I'm fairly certain. I mean, the Kennedy assassination, the problem with all the researchers is they're overlooking the UAP dimension and the MJ-12 dimension relating to both the Nixon impeachment and the Kennedy assassination. Okay, so this is UAP. I hope you like this presentation. Just going to put this up there. Little skull. Top secret, MJ-12. Thanks for listening. I hope you like the content.